Deixa andar, eu não.
Nosotros somos responsables de eso. Todos somos responsables.
Sí, pero tú eres responsable.
It's kind of like the same stuff as the other place. Be there for it. Which way is this way?
I think so. We still could. We're coming back again on Thursday too. Old clothes. Yeah.
Onde você vai?